Welcome back. You're still watching Newsfeed PM, the late edition. So South Africa's agricultural exports face a potential blow. This follows US President Donald Trump's announcement of a sweeping 30% tariff on imports from South Africa, a move that many believe could cost the country billions and deliver a major setback to several sectors, such as agriculture. Well, Democratic Alliance spokesperson Willie Aucamp joins us to discuss that and so much more. Willie, a good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. We thought we'd speak to the Democratic Alliance after we saw the party's very own agriculture minister, John Steenhuisen, today holding that briefing as he spoke about what the impact of these tariffs is going to have on South Africa's agricultural sectors. But just from the DA's point of view, you've released a statement. And I want to read from this and you can unpack it for us. Whilst not explicit, the announcement would signal the end of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, which gives South Africa duty-free access to US for more than 6,000 products. I mean, this is quite a moment when you start to really reflect on that particular point, right?
Good evening, lady. Yes, it is. I just came back from a meeting that we had with the macadamia nut producers of South Africa. Now, they are the biggest producing organization in the world. We in South Africa produce more macadamia nuts than any other country. And 25% of those produce go to the United States. So you can imagine what the impact would be on an industry, just only the macadamia industry. Now, let's go and speak for a moment about the citrus industry. If you go and look at a town like Citrusdal in the Western Cape, they are exporting citrus to the United States. That's what their core business are. So these people will be hugely affected. The amount of jobs that might be lost due to this, the amount of the growth in our economy that will be hampered by this are definitely severe. And we should not see this as something that will just pass by. We need to negotiate our way out of this. We need to see what we can do to really act in the best interest of every South African and to make sure that we can get something in order to get these tariffs away.
Yeah. How? And you say we need to negotiate our way out of this. As a GNU partner, you put your ideas in the hat and you say this is how we go about negotiating our way out of this.
Yeah, well, if there's one thing that's for sure, it is that President Donald Trump is a person that does what he say he will do. He also say that he is a negotiator, that he's a deal maker. He actually wrote a book about making a deal, the art of the deal. So I think that if South Africa approached the United States in a way that President Trump will also think and see that there's benefit for the US, not only us having tariffs on exports from their country to us, but that we maybe look and compare that to the other countries. Let's say, for instance, we are importing something from China or from India or from Brazil, doesn't matter where, and we're paying 10% tariffs on that. But if we are importing that from the US, they are paying a higher percentage on that. We need to get that in line. We need to show the United States government that we are treating them fairly if we compare that firstly to other countries. And then as well, if we compare that to what we are charging them. This is not only about the tariffs that we are having on products coming from the United States. They also do the comparison of how we are treating them with, if you compare that to other countries all over the world.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the statement here, and there's, I mean, some of the calls that have been made by the Democratic Alliance, and you'll correct me, is that you said at this time it is time for us to review, for instance, the Broad-Based Economic Empowerment Act to ensure that we focus on poverty, not race. And what's interesting is this letter from the US President Donald Trump doesn't actually speak to those very issues. And I don't know what you say about this opening up once again the transformational or anti-transformational tug-of-war debate in the country.
Now, lady, these tariffs will have a huge impact on South Africa because of the fact that our economy is so weak. If we want this to have a lesser impact on us and for future effects that it might have, we need to really go and strengthen our economy by these reforms. We've got to remove the barriers that impede the private sector participation in production and transmission of electricity. If we have got a stable electricity supply, we will definitely be shielded better against these tariffs. These tariffs now are really hitting us hard because we are not prepared for that. And our economy is not strong enough. We need to grow our economy. Let's take these people that export. They've got a huge amount that they've got to add to their products because of the cold chain that they've got to maintain the whole time. Now, if they can get the electricity from Eskom on a proper basis and they are secure about that, it would not be necessary for them to spend millions of rands on diesel for generators to keep their products cool. So that will already have an effect. It will lower the price of those items. Now let's take those products that are being kept in cold storage and we transport that on proper roads to a harbor where it will be handled quickly and efficiently and go out. That will again make sure that these producers are having to pay less when it comes to storage cost for those products, when it comes to the time that those products spent at the harbor. Sometimes some of these fresh produce spend weeks at the harbor because of the inefficiency of the harbor. So what the Democratic Alliance is saying is that we've got to get the concessioning of the ports up and running to improve the efficiency and turnaround times of getting products in and out of the country. It will have an effect and it will really assist the producers in this country against these tariffs that will have a huge impact on them. So I hope that makes sense. But if we can do this, and let's now take another point. When it comes to investment in a country, because that is what is growing your economy, then policies such as expropriation without compensation is not helping you to create an environment that will get people to come and invest in your country. We need to get all these burdens that are hampering economical growth out of the way so that South Africa can really stand on our own 2 feet when it comes to our economy, and that we can diversify when it comes to exports and not have all your eggs in one basket, figuratively speaking. But so we've got to do everything in our power. And these economical reforms is what the DA is saying now really needs to be implemented to shield us from the effects that we are experiencing now.
Yeah. Look, it's already such a busy week and it's only Tuesday evening, right? Because there's so much to talk about. Just as we closed off last week on Sunday, that explosive briefing by the KZN Provincial Commissioner, and I see just moments ago, actually, the Democratic Alliance releasing a statement wherein you call for inquiry into the Mchunu allegations, and you say this is in line with Section 55 and 56 of the Constitution. In fact, you've got a list of what should be done in this commission of inquiry. Talk to us through that, Willie.
Yeah, thank you, Naledi. I haven't even read through that statement. I know that it is a statement that was issued by Lisa Schikkeling, yes, my colleague in the Police Portfolio Committee. The long and the short of this is you've got a provincial police commissioner that came out and made serious allegations. Now, one can obviously take things on face value, but I think it is of such an important nature that we need to get this investigated. We need to get to the bottom of this and to make sure that if he is telling the truth, action steps are taken. If he is not telling the truth, then such an inquiry will also get to the bottom of that. But the allegations that were made are really of a very serious nature. I don't want to even speculate of why he did it and the timing. We heard rumors that he was about to be arrested or that he wanted to arrest Minister Mchunu. I don't want to go into that. The hard facts on the ground needs to be established by an inquiry.
You know, we had a conversation earlier on the show with Mr. Willie Mchunu, the former premier of KZN. And I need to bring this up because these calls for a commission, an inquiry being made by various, groupings. And one of the things that he's talked about is we don't need a commission on the back of another commission. That the reason why there was a task team looking into political killings was because of the recommendations that came out of the Moerane Commission that was established in 2016. There's a sense that we're asking for a repetition almost of a process when the first recommendations of that commission were not seen all the way through. What do you say to that?
Well, again, if you look at the allegations that were made by General Mkhwanazi, it goes precisely to the point that the investigations that the KwaZulu-Natal police did with regards to a lot of what you've just said has been shed under the carpet. It's as if people want to hide it. So what we are saying is that we've got to investigate the criminal infiltration in SAPS leaderships and operations. If what General Mkhwanazi is saying is true, there's a big problem with SAPS, not only in KZN, but in the country. We've got to assess vetting and lifestyle and skills audits for senior appointees. That will give us a very good indication of whether they are involved in corrupt activities. We've got to evaluate the effectiveness and the integrity of crime intelligence. And this is something that a committee like this can do. Again, I don't want to speculate on whatever General Mkhwanazi said, whether it's true or not. But we need to investigate that. It is not every day that you get a very senior person in your police, a general, a provincial police commissioner, making accusations against the Minister of Police. We cannot just let it go by and say, well, we're not going to do anything about that. Who's going to believe who? And we need to get to a proper investigation on this.
Yeah. As we saw the matter of General Mkhwanazi then taking center stage, I suppose to some extent it did eclipse the matter of, the ongoing back and forth with the matter of the Higher Education Minister, Nobuhle Nkabane. We did see the Democratic Alliance last week, of course, opening that case against her. And this is quite interesting because now what you've got is reports of individuals that were named inside this panel of hers, a trio that has come forward and said that they've denied their involvement in the independent panel set up by the minister. So, I mean, what does the Democratic Alliance say about that and, where you're taking that matter forward at this point?
Yeah, Naledi, we've got a lot of things that keep us busy.
Yeah.
Mkhwanazi, Nkabane, the tariffs.
It's a busy week, yeah.
It really has been a very busy week in our country. If you look at Nkabane, she clearly misled Parliament. She lied to the committee. She said that she had an independent panel that were adjudicating the seaters. It clearly was not. If you go and you look at who was on that panel, I mean, one of those panel members is the son of Minister Gwedi Mantashe. Another panel member or people that have been chosen there was previous leaders of the ANC in KZN. So you had it now that Advocate Terry Mutau, whom Minister Nkabane said was the chairperson of the committee, he came out and said that, no, I was not. I had nothing to do with it. I think the other names that came out today was Nelisiwe Simane, if I'm correct. I'm not sure about the other name, but we've now got it that 4 out of the 6 people whom the minister said served on this panel and was appointed by her to this panel came and said, but no, it's not true. I did not serve on that panel. So it's clearly a huge attempt of this minister to mislead Parliament, to create the idea that she has appointed an independent body, whereas she has not. So we cannot sit with people like that in our cabinet. We from the Democratic Alliance side have laid charges against her. It is a crime if you mislead Parliament. You cannot do that. And she clearly did that. So we are definitely not satisfied with her being there. And if the president is not going to take steps against people from his own party in his cabinet that either has been involved or allegedly involved in corruption, in the Zondo Commission report on state capture or in the VBS looting scandal, or clearly having lied to Parliament. If the president is not going to act against those ministers, the Democratic Alliance will act. We do not tolerate corruption in our party. We do not tolerate lying to Parliament. And it is clear that Minister Nkabane did that.
Yeah. Willie, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. We had a lot to cover, so we certainly appreciate it. Willie Aucamp there is the spokesperson